Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome ACORD President and CEO Gregory A. Maciag.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to San Diego. Many organizations change their vision statements as the future becomes more apparent and the compass needs to be adjusted. But that's not always the case for ACORD. For us, the future tends to align with our vision, in part because our mission is well to shape it. We tend to be eager to do things before they become easy, or in some cases even possible if you think back far enough. At ACORD, we've always believed that standards are a long-term investment, and many of the barriers along the way are eliminated by advanced technology. With that in mind, we've been reorganizing our staff and committees to better serve members and factor in those new technologies. Our directors met in New York last month. They're sitting right here before me, as we launched a new ACORD 2020 Advisory Committee to define the next frontier of standards implementation. We envision a 2020 where we will not be setting standards the way we do today. Timelines will be faster, and committees will focus on requirements rather than details. The bottom line is standards will be much easier to consume, new tools will simplify connections, and you'll see more services and shared components to eliminate repetitious development. All of this will empower innovation in our business. ACORD directors who were at our meeting see some really big changes. Take a look.
The best way to forecast where you're going to be in the next 10 years is to take a look at what's transpired over the previous 10 years. A monumental change.
The way we deploy technology and provide service to our customers, I think, should be radically different. I think that the insurance industry is just at the beginning of really using some of these tools in a way that's going to enhance the way we provide customers service and the way customers self-service themselves today.
They describe a business where technology doesn't only mean greater efficiency, technology also changes the business.
The industry is moving from one of risk assumption to one of risk administration. And by that I mean historically insurers actually assumed a great deal of risk, and through scale and scope economies were able to mitigate that risk over a large balance sheet. Moving forward, technology is becoming increasingly sophisticated and enabling insurers to really understand risk at a far more granular basis and, more importantly, price it at that level.
You will go to an insurance company or a broker or agent and you will say, I have all those risks that are related with living and working in my home. I want you to fix those risks for me. So it's more like an all-encompassing solution than a specific policy you are going to buy in 10 years from now.
Of course, the future isn't something that magically appears all at once. It's a journey, one moment at a time, adding new technologies that soon become very common. And many of those technologies already exist today. We agree that the cost of doing business is higher than it should be, and our ability to innovate is lower than it can be. But that's all about to change.
No touch, frictionless, using digital technology to the extent, every extent possible, and leveraging the efficiencies of ACORD standards.
We're going to see that the general functionality of IT becoming ubiquitous. And then what's going to happen, more importantly, is what's going to, be the competitive advantage from a technology point of view in a given company is the data and how they translate that into actionable intelligence.
Over the past number of years, technology was about the automation of work, about efficiency. Underwriting systems allow machines to do more, and people handle the exceptions. We speed up the process, spend less money perhaps, we do more with less. This is not innovation. If you think about boxes and lines on a process chart, it's about fixing boxes instead of enabling the lines. But the lines represent the future of our business. We will be thinking bigger and wider.
A lot of technologies today simply took paper-based mechanisms and digitized it or automated it. moving forward, I think technology is going to fundamentally change the way risk is understood, the way insureds apply for insurance, the way quotes are actually underwritten and rated and bound and managed.
I believe we're on the threshold of a monumental inflection point, driven by communications technology. And it's empowering individuals who can upload content as well as download it. It represents the end of command and control organizations. Those vertical value chains will become horizontal value chains. Technology is moving us to a horizontal world where sharing information across multiple partners to sell and service new insurance products. Tom Friedman, the New York Times Flat World guy, said that this shift from vertical to horizontal will change everything. And how effectively we horizontalize our business will largely depend on adopting standards because we need to connect the dots.
ACORD standards will drive the process of being able to provide that level of service in the cloud, if you will, that the client is demanding.
At the cornerstone of all of these future projections is going to be a set of concrete standards that are widely adopted and leveraged within that IT infrastructure to facilitate a lot of things we're talking about.
How important are those dots? Steve Jobs said, "Creativity is about having enough dots to connect." Do you think Apple is successful solely because of its engineering? Or do you think that it may have something to do with plugging into a large talent pool of firms and people? Now think about the breadth and scope of the insurance industry. The risk managers, intermediaries, actuaries, underwriters, enterprise architects, and all the specialized markets, trades, and services that make up this business. Then think about all the information that needs to flow between all these partners. While some may see a highly fragmented industry with an overwhelming number of interdependencies that seem to offer nothing more than high cost and a low tolerance for change, that's not what we see. These interdependencies, this fragmentation itself will drive innovation. We are a horizontal industry, but we haven't yet connected all the dots. One organization cannot do everything. One person cannot do everything. These interdependencies empower everyone and provide the building blocks for transforming the business, but only when you add standards to the mix, only when you connect the dots. Some may think that standards cause firms to look and behave alike, but nothing could be further from the truth. Have you ever heard someone say, and I'm sure you have, "We can't use industry standards. Our business is different. Oh, our process is special. We're the exception"? Well, I can't think of many markets that are more different or specialized than London, and they know how to connect the dots with industry standards.
We've been running an iPad trial, and basically the broker will still come into the room, but carrying an iPad rather than a pack of paper. We'll still negotiate with the underwriter, but rather than scratch the slip, presses a button on the iPad. When the broker presses the button, the message generated is an ACORD message that goes into the underwriter's back office system. So that's absolutely key for us. ACORD are supporting us. This went live around 6 months ago, and we've had 200,000 messages.
The encumbrances of documentation have moved away and electronically solved so that the consumer can provide information to the sales conduit, whether that be an agent or a web, in a way that that documentation can be taken seamlessly right through to the back office of the carrier.
The ACORD framework of enterprise models that you're probably all familiar with involves building a component model. It literally helps to define boxes and the lines of a process, and creative people can assemble and align these components in new ways. Software developers tell me that they don't want to code solutions. They want to assemble those solutions. I'm sure you're familiar with toys like Lego blocks. The parts can be assembled in different ways because they use a standard to connect with each other. In the same way, we can deconstruct the business into components, and trading partners can reassemble the pieces in new and creative ways. They retain their individuality, but become part of something new. Standards from ACORD do not limit innovation, they inspire it. And as devices become more smarter, you'll have access to new information. Your car already talks to mechanics and, of course, insurance companies.
The insurance company is able to understand your address, your car, your driving patterns. Perhaps telematics takes off in a very aggressive way, and chipsets embedded within vehicles are going to automatically track time of day, location, and speed. So rather than an annualized auto insurance policy, I just insure you on weekends, or I just insure you 9 to 5, and you have another type of cover.
The same way Lego blocks do not prevent children from creating all sorts of never-before-seen objects, the future will not be only about great companies. It will also be about great partnerships across a wide horizontal platform. Imagine how your partners can expand your opportunities. Now, we rely on Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Biz Stone to provide us with new tools to work. But in order to harness the power of those new tools, we need standards.
My fantasy workflow is to be able to deliver the best products to my clients that they need and being able to spend time with them. And that's where it really comes down to, is being able to continue those relationships, whether they be online, mobile, through the television.
I think we'll see the rise of a lot of other technologies, whether it's social networking, the way that business is placed in other ways.
Very portable, less reliance on brick and mortar. People will have handheld tools that will enable them to move swiftly from place to place, from chore or task to another task.
I think the office design is going to look a lot different 10 years from now than it does today. I think there's a lot of things that are different, and our fantasy workflow includes all of those things.
The demographics are changing, and expectations are different today than they were just 10 years ago. Take a look.
Coming into the workforce today is the most educated and technologically advanced group of people that we've had in the history of this country. So I think that what they come to the world, what they come to the working world with, and what they come to be as consumers is going to require us to be much different in the next 10 years.
All of you are future consumers, agents, underwriters, actuaries, operations, and systems people. You're not going to do business the same way. You know it. That's why you're here. So let's embrace this horizontal world. Let's connect the dots, because the future belongs to those who create it. So let's get started. Thanks for being here. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.